Hi everyone, it's Kim and welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. Welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. If you're new to my channel, I love everything foodie and I love books. Today I'm here to tell you loosely what my September TBR is. It is Labor Day weekend, so I've already started some of these books and I don't put out a monthly TBR, but if you guys are interested in a monthly TBR, please let me know. I don't put TBRs out because I know I'm a mood reader and I often have 3 to 4 books going at any time. But let me show you some of the books that I am working through and want to complete in the month of September. First up, I am listening to Kosher Soul, which is narrated by the author Michael Twitty. This is Michael Twitty's second memoir. He is well known for his book, The Cooking Gene, and is a James Beard Award-winning writer for food writing for The Cooking Gene. Kosher Soul is Michael Twitty's conversation and examination of his relationship, both being a Black man, also being a Jewish man, and also being queer, and all of these different roles and identities and how they're intersecting together. What are some of the prejudices he is facing, and also just the cuisine and some of the most beautiful parts about all of these different traditions, and how he is kind of the amalgamation of all of them, and how he wants to preserve and push his legacy forward, and how this is important to his everyday life. I am listening to this book, as I mentioned. I have about 5 hours left of the book, and it is amazing. And I should be careful. I'm sorry. He identifies as African Jewish cuisine. There's a lot of conversation about Jews of color. I'm going to use Jews of color, specifically because Twitty has gone into this book, and there's a lot of chapters about the conversations of, being African American is erasing his brothers and sisters that are from the Caribbean and South America, or other parts of the globe in general. So I'm trying to use the right term. Let me read the inside of the cover for you. In Kosher Soul, culinary historian and James Beard Award-winning author Michael Twitty considers the marriage of two of the most distinct culinary cultures of the world today: the foods and traditions of the African Atlantic and the global Jewish diaspora. The creation of African Jewish cooking is a conversation of migrations and the dialogue of diasporas, offering a rich background for inventive recipes and the people who create them. Yet, the question that intrigues Twitty is not who makes the food, but how the food makes the people. Jews of color are not outliers, but significant and meaningful cultural creators in both Black and Jewish civilizations. In recounting his own passage to and within Judaism, Twitty explores how food has shaped the journeys of numerous cooks. I am loving this book so far, and I'm specifically not rushing it because I want to enjoy it so much. I actually bought 2 copies of this book by accident, so my duplicate copy is available on my Pango bookstore, which is linked down below. I really love it, so much so that I called my friend Jess up. She's my childhood friend, and to be honest, was the first Jewish friend I ever had, which I realize now is ironic. If you're from Long Island, people are like, oh, a lot of Jewish, there's a huge Jewish population down there. But I was born in Jersey and moved to Long Island. So Jess was really the first person to introduce me to Jewish food and the culture around it. And I called her up and I said, you have to read this book. So I think she's going to listen to it on audiobook. And when I'm done, I'll send her the physical copy if she wants it. I've really, really enjoyed it so far. And yes, I am listening to the audiobook on Scribe, but yes, I still bought the hardcover because I just love Michael Twitty so much. I'm so excited. I'm really enjoying it. It is definitely going to be on my top 10 list this year. I've waited so long for this book, and he actually is apparently slated for a 3rd book where he will specifically be talking about his years as a Hebrew high school teacher, which is also super exciting. Another nonfiction book that I'm only about a chapter into is Slime: How Algae Created Us, Plague Us, and Might Just Save Us. I'm very interested in algae as a sustainable food source. I think it can be an alternative food source. I am just trying to understand more about it, because when I think of algae, I think of pond scum, or in my fish tank. But when I think of kelp, I think of it as something as edible. So I want to understand the two and how they work together, or really what slime or algae is compared to kelp. I'm only a chapter in. It's a little dense, but I think it's also just the opening of the book. So I'm excited to give it a chance. I also really like the color of this book, which is not the best reason to read a book. I wanted to learn more about algae after reading a couple of new books at the beginning of this year about sustainable and alternative protein sources. Specifically, the book Technically Food tipped me off to reading more about kelp. And Bren Smith's book, Eat Like a Fish, he talks about how he grows seaweed and kelp as an alternative or as part of his sustainable fishery. So it's been circulating my mind for a little while. It's almost adjacent to all of those fish books I have been talking about as well. So I am excited to try and get through this. This one I'm physically reading. It is 250-ish pages. There are recipes in the back for like algae related things or tempura, and I've seen some seaweed stuff, which is exciting. And there's a really long bibliography, which is super cool. So those are the 2 nonfiction books I have targeted. As you guys can see, there's so many nonfiction books behind me. There's plenty of more I could read in the month, but let's move on over to the fiction books that I definitely have on my list to finish this month. First, the September pick of the NB Book Club is Café con Lychee? Café con Lychee? Lychee? I never know how to actually pronounce that. It is about rival cafes. It is a male-to-male romance, and it's part of the NB Book Club, which I super love. Jesse, and loved working with Jesse. So I wanted to read it, and it should be a quick one to get through. I also got this one off of Pango. So if you don't know what the book is about, sometimes bitter rivalries can brew something sweet. Theo Mori wants to escape. Leaving Vermont for college means getting away from working at his parents' Asian American cafe and not having to deal with their archival's hopeless son, Gabby, who's lost the soccer team more games than Theo can count. Gabby Moreno is miserably stuck in the closet, forced to play soccer to hide his love for dance, and iced out by Theo, the only openly gay guy at school. Gabby's only reprieve is his parents' Puerto Rican bakery and his plans to take over after graduation. But the town's new fusion cafe changes everything. Between the Mori's struggling shop and the Morenos' plan to sell their bakery in the face of the competition, both boys find their dreams in jeopardy. Then Theo has an idea: sell photo-worthy food covertly at school to offset their losses. When he sprains his wrist and Gabby gets roped in to help, they realize they need to work together to save their parents' shops. But will these new feelings rising between them be enough to send their future plans up in smoke? So, yay! Foodie romance, young adult, boy love. I'm so in. Next up is a new release that just came out this month. This is Sophie Go's Lonely Hearts Club by Roselle Lim. I have read Roselle Lim's 2 other books, Natalie Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune, and just this month, which you'll see in my September wrap-up, I read Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop. I love this author. She is Korean American, and there's always a level of food involved. I don't think this one will actually have too much food compared to her prior 2 books, but I do really love her writing style and really wanted to own all of her books. So this one. Newly minted professional matchmaker Sophie Go has returned to Toronto, her hometown, after spending 3 years in Shanghai. Her job is made quite difficult, however, when she is revealed as a fraud. She never actually graduated from matchmaking school. In a competitive market like Toronto, no one wants to take a chance on an inexperienced and unaccredited matchmaker, and soon Sophie becomes an outcast. In her dire search for clients, she stumbles upon a secret club within her condo complex, the Old Ducks. The Old Ducks. 7 septuagenarian Chinese bachelors who never found love. Somehow, she convinces them to hire her, but her matchmaking skills are put to the test as she learns the depths of loneliness, heartbreak, and love by attempting to make the hardest matches of her life. So what I have noted about Roselle Lim's writing is there's always this level of magical realism stemming from their culture. So it looks like Sophie is from, maybe not from China, or not from Shanghai, but she was studying in Shanghai. So there is an East Asian influence here. I think I said Korean American, but I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not quite sure. But in the last book, she was Korean. The protagonist was. So I'm actually not sure if this protagonist is Korean American, but in the last book, the protagonist was. So that's where my reference point is coming from. Anyway, I'm very excited. This is probably going to be the least of the foodie book, which it's fine. Like, you don't have to pigeonhole an author. I do really like her books. I like this level of magical realism. There's just a level of, this could be a great, like, if not even a Hallmark movie, but a great, like, story that just is cozy and takes you away. I could see it being a movie. I could see it being, like, just charming. Charming's a great word for it. I find her characters, especially her females, very relatable in their struggles and what their confidence and what their journeys are like. So I am very, very excited to read this. The next book was sent to me so graciously by St. Martin's Publication, and this is Jasmine Zumide Needs a Win, and this is an ARC. I'm super happy to have this. So it comes from St. Martin Press and Wednesday Books, and I am part of the Persian Posse. We're like this little group on Instagram. We've all like really never met each other, but we're all Persian. Some Persian American, some are from Canada, some are traveling all over the world, but it's really a relatable group and we all love books. And I got tapped and they asked, the marketing coordinator asked if I wanted to receive this book, and I said yes. I wish I had had more Persian American representation when I was growing up in my books, and even now, even if they're young adult, I will continue to buy these books and read these books and rep these books because this representation is so important to me as someone who is Persian American. I think I missed out on a lot of my dad's culture growing up because I grew up in the era of 9/11. I was in the 6th grade when 9/11 happened. I'm from Long Island, so it hits a little different when you're a little closer. And I really just I wasn't raised in the culture the way I wish I had, which I have regrets about that. My dad's no longer with me. So these books act for me as a window into a world that I desperately want to be a part of. And each piece I feel a little bit more at home the more I read about it. I hope that makes sense, but it's really important to me. I'm very excited to have this ARC. Let me just read the little insert that they brought with it. Hello, I'm absolutely delighted to be sending you this advanced reader copy of Jasmine Zumide Needs a Win, a stunning YA debut from the author Susan Azim Boyer. Darius the Great is Not Okay meets the cult classic Election and The Politician in this fiercely funny and inspirational novel about a girl caught between doing the right thing and chasing her dreams. It's 1979 and Jasmine is determined to get out of California and into her dream school, NYU. The only problem, due to a deadline snafu, she maybe said she was senior class president-elect on her application before the election takes place. Jasmine thinks her victory is guaranteed until the Iran hostage crisis unexpectedly turns the election upside down. As the crisis dominates the news, her opponent stirs up anti-Iranian sentiment at the school to turn the students against her. With her acceptance to NYU hanging in the balance, Jasmine finds herself stuck between claiming her heritage or hiding it. I'm very excited to read this. I think it's going to be super relatable. Sometimes I wish, my dad was here so I could even just show him these books and ask him what it was like to grow up in 1979. So again, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for sending this art to me. And the final book I definitely need to read in the month of September is Arsenic and Adobo. Now, I know this book has been around the Booktube space. Arsenic and Adobo is actually the first book in the Read It and Eat book club that I have launched locally here in Buffalo, New York. We joke that the hashtag we're jokingly using is Sips and Stories. So I am partnering with a local tea shop called Cup of Community that creates beautiful and amazing teas that they source from all over the world. And our two businesses both are passionate about helping the community. So we have a book club in October, November, December, 3 different books. And the first is for October, spooky season, Arsenic and Adobo. For anyone who signs up for the book club locally, you do receive a box that comes with the book, a snack, and there's a donation to fight hunger here in Western New York. And we will be collecting canned goods at each book club meeting. So we're meeting once a month. It's usually the second Thursday of the month from 6:30 to 8 to talk about the book. But we're also trying to collect food because as we ramp up for the holiday season, food scarcity is a problem all year round. But this is where a lot of families feel the crunch even more because the holidays are about togetherness, and sometimes there's a lot of extra pressure to provide these, big memorable meals that they might not have access to. So really excited for this. You can also buy the books yourself if you want to be part of the book club, even if you can't be there in person. It's all on my website and linked down below. So that is my pile of books I would like to read in the month of September. It's a lot more fiction than nonfiction this month, but that's okay. And I'm really excited to see if I can get through all of them. Let me know in the comments below if you would like a review of any of these books in particular. On your way down, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.